Bonjour, shalom, and hello. Welcome to the 12th episode of our second season of Calling an Audible, a podcast focusing on national, regional, and local sports stories with our own special twist. My name is Zach Greenberg, and along with Greg Johnson, we're your hosts. Today we'll be talking about the Big Four sports, some golf, as well as a bill involving the NCAA. This will be followed by some local news, as well as we'll always wrap it up with our wacky sports update. So we'll start off straight out of golf with Tiger Woods finally getting back into it and winning the Masters for the first time in 15 years.
Yep, I honestly did not think Tiger was going to even qualify in the top 5 after his first 2 rounds. But then once I saw he was within striking distance starting day 3, and then he jumped up as far as he did, that kind of told me that he had a great shot at winning it, you know? And then I think the best part that took it all was when he knew he won it, he went over, he hugged his kid, he gave his classic fist pump, and the sports world erupted.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of fans that man has for what his life has been through, you know, I just think it's the greatest thing ever. And then President Trump even is going to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, I think, for this.
Yep.
I think that's actually really cool.
Yeah, I think it's very cool, and he definitely deserves this more than anybody, I think, because the amount of, he had the whole controversy and all that happened 10 years ago, but then he had to deal with a ridiculous amount of surgeries on his back.
I think he had like 3 surgeries in 3 consecutive years or something.
Yeah, he's had a crazy amount of surgery, and all that to come back and perform at the highest level possible and winning the biggest tournament in golf.
Yeah.
That says a lot about him. There's some cool things I was looking at here. So when Tiger Woods last won the Masters, the first iPhone was still in the works. George Bush had started his second term. Obama had only been a senator for less than 100 days. Rory McIlroy was only 15 years old.
Wow.
So those are just kind of some cool things. And the Dark Knight was the highest grossing film in the United States.
That movie is that old already? Oh my God.
And that was also the last time LeBron James missed the playoffs. that was tweeted by DeMarcus Cousins. But
yeah, but looking back though, last time Tiger won the Masters was 2005, and his last major championship win was the US Open in 2008.
So it's been 11 years for any real major championship success for him. That's a long time.
Greatest comeback of all time, or no?
I mean, I don't know what else is comparable. To come back 10 years after doing anything really relevant in the sport and compete at the highest level and win. I can't think of any other examples of that happening.
And the fact that of all people to do it, Tiger Woods, the American face of hockey, I'm gonna say it. He is
golf.
He is. Wow. I'm sorry about that. I was kind of looking at some hockey articles too along here, but yeah, the American face of golf. And for him to be able to do what he just did, and I can't stress this anymore, I think he is probably the greatest hockey again. Wow, the greatest American golfer in the past 10 years in America. Easily. Even before that, when he started winning championships in 97.
Yeah, his first ever Masters win, I was about to be born in a month's time. So 22 years later, and he wins another one, and that's extremely impressive. But we'll move on to some Women's World Championship hockey. Team USA, for the 5th year in a row, wins the Women's World Hockey Championship, but this time it was a little controversial. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so what the situation was the referees wanted to award a goal, but there's a video judge that overruled everything. So obviously, viewers at home, you're not able to watch the video via us, but you can actually look it up online. And what it was there was the Finland forward. She scored the goal, but she got tripped by the goalie of America, and they called a tripping penalty on the goalie and said no goal, so they had to go to a power play, which they did not score, and then eventually America won it in the shootout. But the video review showed and the judge explained this after. It cited 2 rules in saying the goal by Petra Nieminen, I guess I cannot enunciate Finnish last names, but was disallowed due to non-incidental goaltender interference. And obviously, when she scored the goal, it sparked a huge, wild celebration because it was being hosted in Finland. So that would have been big time for Finland to win the World Championship on home ice. But obviously, the goal is called back. And then because Jenny Hirkoski made contact with the American goaltender Alex Rigsby, who was moving out of her crease, and as she passed in front of her net, Hirkoski wasn't assessed a goaltender interference penalty, but Rigsby was giving a tripping minor. So because of that, and the rules state an attacking skater who makes contact other than incidental with a goaltender who is out of his or her goal crease during game action will be assessed a minor penalty for interference. If a goal is scored at this time, it will not count. And then incidental contact is allowed when the goaltender is in the act of playing the puck outside his or her goal crease, provided the attacking skater makes a responsible effort to minimize or avoid such contact. So I guess there's a lot of, beef on Twitter because, this should have been a goal, a game should have been over, but rules state and it was overturned, and I think that was the right call.
Yeah, I mean, based on the rules, it was the right call, but I don't think that those are the right rules.
You don't think so?
No, if the goalie interfered and then gets scored on, how is that on? How would that be on the Finnish player? Like, why should the Finnish team be punished for that when they scored a goal because of the penalty? Because if you think about it, when any player gets a minor penalty, until the other team touches the puck, then a goal can be scored, no problem. Why would it be any different in this situation?
And I guess that's where it boils down to how the rules are laid out. Obviously, that's the blaring exception on how everyone sees it, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, Americans are going to be like, whatever, we won, who cares? And Finland's going to be very annoyed for
especially from losing at
year.
home like that.
Yeah, that blows. There's no way to sugarcoat that, but that sucks for Finland. And they played that well, and America was blowing out all the teams. I think they even beat Canada pretty handedly, too.
Yeah, our women's hockey's not like our men's hockey, so.
Yeah, but they are still very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because America beat Canada for the first time in I don't even know how many years at the Olympics.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they've always struggled against Canada at the Olympics, but in the World Hockey Championship, it's always been USA for some reason for the women's team.
Not to complain, but
no,
that's what it is, and I guess the rules are the rules, and if they want to be changed, you gotta push it through and make it, and obviously petition to get them changed, and hopefully they do. But until then, I guess they're gonna be staying put. But moving on to the NFL. My Patriots signed Demaryius Thomas to a 1-year deal after they lost Chris Hogan to the Panthers.
I mean, I think they'll make good use of Demaryius Thomas. He's coming off injury.
Yep, torn Achilles, which is going to be a little tough to come back
and he's
from.
Also well into his 30s now, so it's...
But here's the thing. He has the chance to play with both Peyton Manning and Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what to do. He's a seasoned vet, and I think that's why they brought him in, is because... Yeah, obviously he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's definitely seems like a Belichick-type player.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, in losing Gronk and Hogan, you need some more weapons. So,
yep.
And I think Austin Seferian-Jenkins was also a good pickup, and he should do pretty well in Gronk's absence next year, as long as, they're still going to employ the tight end like they always have been, assuming they will.
And New England has been looking at drafting someone...
Noah Fant, maybe.
Yeah,
out of Iowa.
They
would have to trade up, though.
They'd have to trade up, but analysts are saying that he's the closest thing to Gronk.
Oh yeah, he's
currently
really good. I want the Packers to get him too.
Gotta hope not.
And we have 2 first-round picks, so it's possible.
Do you know where he's projected to go at all, or is he like a second round?
The latest mock draft I looked at, he was like 17th or something like that.
Okay.
And the Packers have the 12th pick, but we also have more of a need than tight end right now, so. I don't. He might be, if he falls to 30. I definitely hope the Packers take him. But there's other players we need right now that aren't
an entire team.
Yeah, no. A safety and a D lineman
and a defense.
No, we're all right on defense. We're all
the only
right.
thing you're for sure at is quarterback.
And left tackle.
And left tackle. But, that's just how it is. And the NFL also recently announced that the Bears and Raiders, as well as the Bucks and Panthers, will be playing in London's new Tottenham Stadium. And playing in England isn't anything new for the NFL, but, I've always wondered why they do it, because the NFL players are on record saying how much they hate playing in England because of the field conditions.
Mm-hmm. Brings in money, though.
Brings in money, so...
For all the teams and the league.
So your overall opinion of this is that it is definitely a good thing that the NFL does this?
I mean, it's a good thing for the league and a good thing for the teams because they're going to be making money off this. And it's also a good thing because you're reaching out to fans that wouldn't necessarily be able to attend games most of the time. And whether they're fans of the teams out there or not, like if you look out at the crowd, you see, every different type of jersey out there. So I think it's a good thing overall.
So I'm pretty sure that the NFL currently plays in the UK as well as Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any other countries the NFL might branch out to?
Well, they had a couple games in Canada for a while with the Bills series in Toronto, and that I hated because I knew that if the Bills moved to Toronto, then the CFL would be done because Toronto is the base for the CFL, and it probably just wouldn't. It would probably fall apart if they weren't in the league because the city wouldn't be able to have a CFL team and an NFL team. That would just not
destroy
work.
The fan base.
So I'm thankful that didn't happen.
And continuing on this article, the Green Bay Packers are the only NFL team that has yet to play in the UK. And as we discussed that on a recent episode, I think 4 episodes ago, maybe 5 already. I know it was in the beginning of our season.
It's probably even longer, to be honest.
It could have
been.
It's
a blur, but...
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun on podcasts. But, yeah, the Packers are the only NFL team that hasn't played in the UK because all their tickets are sold out for the foreseeable future, and they don't want to give up a home game.
Yeah.
Which, is understandable.
But... Yeah, I don't know.
Especially with that fan base for the Packers in the UK, supposedly.
Yeah, they have a really big fan base. I follow an account on Instagram. It's called UK Packers, and they've got a lot of followers, and they
pretenders maybe.
They post a lot of people like, things British people do, like drinking, eating fish and chips, watching the Packers play, and
warm
stuff like
beer,
that.
Kicking a football around that's not actually a
football.
A football, or soccer ball as we call it here, but. That's just them and that's their nature. But we're going to move on to the NBA here. And DeMarcus Cousins has a torn quad and he is out indefinitely. Doctors are right now determining how severe it really is.
And no matter how severe this is, the severity of it has no impact on the Golden State Warriors rest of the postseason.
I was just about to say this really doesn't affect Golden State at all because they still have like 6 other All-Stars on the team.
Yeah, it sucks for Boogie because he finally, was healthy again and was performing at the level he used to.
Yep.
But yeah, he tore his quad. He's out indefinitely, and it's weird because like the other day I was talking with a couple people. We're talking about how possibly the Warriors could not win the NBA championship this year, and there's like, well, Boogie could get hurt. And then Boogie gets hurt the next day, and the thing I said to them before Boogie got hurt, I'm like, even if Boogie gets hurt, they're still probably gonna win in the finals 4-1, 4-2.
Yeah.
No matter who they play, because the bottom line is Giannis can't carry the Bucks all the way unless they're playing another team other than the Warriors. But I don't see the Warriors losing to anybody, and no. I think that Clippers game was a little bit of a wake up call for them to. They got to get back on their horse, and because you saw that they blew that 31-point lead.
I did see that, and that was actually kind of surprising because of all teams to blow a 31-point lead, 2 of all teams, the Clippers, who are sneakily good.
Yeah,
but still Golden State.
Clippers without Tobias Harris.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just Patrick Beverley is currently in the grill of all of Golden State right now. He's arguably one of the best defenders the NBA has seen in a long time. And there's really not much else to say other than the fact he is a get-in-your-face kind of guy. When I played basketball way back in 8th grade, it seems like forever ago. My coach always told us to get in the face of the person you're defending. He literally said, nonchalantly grab their jersey and then get so close in their face you can tell them what they had for lunch. And that I feel like that's exactly what Patrick Beverley is doing, especially how much he's irritating Kevin Durant. I'm not sure if you saw the free throw line video. Kevin Durant was shooting a free throw, and Patrick Beverley fake stumbled.
No, I didn't see that. Did he get called for it?
No, because he just lifted up his foot. He never stepped over a line or anything. He just lifted up his foot pretending he was going to jump right before Kevin Durant shot it. And actually Kevin Durant missed it. And he gave Patrick Beverley a look, and you can tell he's in his head. But Kevin Durant's still a better player, so it's really not going to affect anything at all.
We'll move on to some hockey news as the President's Trophy winning Tampa Bay Lightning, the best team in the NHL with the most wins of all time, tying the Detroit Red Wings, gets swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round.
I am honestly surprised.
I'm surprised too. As you know from a previous episode, I had picked Tampa Bay to win the entire Stanley Cup playoffs.
You did. Hey, and guess who I picked that swept the Penguins?
You did pick the Islanders that swept the Penguins. But,
yeah, look at that.
And that is also another crazy thing that that Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and the Pittsburgh Penguins get swept in the first round after all the success that they've had in the playoffs over the years. And the craziest thing
about that is how Sidney Crosby had 1 point the entire series.
Yeah, and he had a minus one for the whole series.
He almost had a goal, but he hit it off the post, which is every NHLer's nightmare. But, that's just the nature of hockey. And currently around the league, the Jets and Blues are tied up now, so the Jets are showing signs of life.
Yeah, we had a really good game last night, especially from both the Connors. Connor Hellebuck, our goalie, played unbelievable last night, and then Kyle Connor, who scored the game winner for us in overtime. I can't say enough good things about Kyle Connor. I think he's the best player on the team. A lot of my friends back home would disagree with me, and they'll say, Mark Scheifele, Dustin Byfuglien, Patrick Laine, even
Blake Wheeler,
Blake Wheeler as well. But the way Kyle Connor plays the game, he's always in the play. He's got a nose for the puck, and I don't know. I just see whenever I watch him, he's always skating as hard as he can, and that's just one thing that sticks out to me about Kyle Connor. And I think the Jets are going to have to open their wallets quite a bit for Kyle Connor.
Oh, yeah. He's probably going to get about a good 6-7 a year for the remainder of his restricted free agency. But, to go around the rest of the league, the Sharks are being demolished by the Golden Knights' second line of Pacioretty, Mark Stone, and Paul Stastny.
Mark Stone is just going crazy.
That was probably the best trade of the year, easily. Nashville's currently up on Dallas 2-1. The Avalanche are on top, the West leading Flames 2-1, and the Bruins and Maple Leafs are with Toronto up 2-1 right now. And it's kind of how I expected things to be going. Not granted without the Avalanche and Flames and Toronto and Boston series, but other than that, it's kind of how I thought the playoffs would play out. And eventually, I don't know. I think the conference finals are probably going to be the best series out of any recent ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, this playoffs has been wacky so far. Both teams I thought were going to win their respective series have been swept. So, but just another thing to say about Mark Stone, he's leading the entire league in playoff points with 10, and he already has 6 goals in this short playoffs in 4 games. So he's just going crazy right now down in Vegas, and they could be a very scary team again this year, going all the way to the Cup. But
I didn't think Vegas would go that far this year in the playoffs like last year, but I might actually think it could turn out to be Vegas and New York. I think that would be
I still don't think New York has it.
Nah, well, Barry Trotz is coaching them, and he won it last year at the Capitals, so
that's true.
It's possible. Maybe it's all coaching.
Barry Trotz from Dauphin, Manitoba, if I'll add.
Just had to throw that in there.
I did have to throw that in. Not Winnipeg, but still Manitoba pride.
There you go. So we're going to move on to some interesting news that kind of pertains to what our podcast really is about when we first created it. And not necessarily the topic itself, but the perspective of student athletes' take on the sporting world. And with that, Colorado lawmakers, and I think some other states are jumping in on this too, they're taking on the NCAA in the name of college athletes. And with that, their initial goal is that they want to pass a bill that allows colleges to pay those athletes. Zach, where do you exactly stand on the payment towards college athletes?
I think any athlete that has a role in getting in bringing in more income to a university, they should be getting paid. So, for example, that would include like mostly it'd be all D1s.
Yep.
For the most part, and it'd be players that that are key players that stand out, that are actually that you can actually see are bringing in revenue. Whether it be Michigan State selling a number 5 jersey in their store, people know that number 5 is Cassius Winston.
Yep.
So every time they sell number 5 jersey with Michigan State on it, Cassius Winston should get money from that. But paying them in general, I'm kind of in the middle, because I can see both points of view on it, because the education's being fully paid for, but the amount of time that athletes put in and the amount of work they put in
leaves
makes
little to no time for anything outside
for work or for any money outside of that. So even if it's not like paying them per se, but you
providing them amenities, about that.
Yeah, amenities or an extra stipend or something like that they can just that goes on whatever for the whole year or for the semester. That might be the best way of doing it, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that student athletes probably need that they don't get. And one of the things I'm working on with a professor of mine is drafting some sort of writing where we can push to unionize student athletes in the form of getting a players association. Not necessarily get them paid, that's its own different thing. But this is in terms of medical care getting paid for. So say if when you're playing football and you got a significant injury, or to be completely honest, any injury that required a doctor's visit, you wouldn't have to worry about it, because either the school and or the NCAA would cover the cost, because you yourself, granted you signed up to play the sport and the injuries are assumed, but you shouldn't have to completely bear the load yourself, And then the other point that, and what I'm trying to push for, is the scholarship guarantee, because when you sign on to a school, when you sign your national letter of intent, a lot of those are all based on your scholarship. Yeah. And they shouldn't be.
No, they should be 4-year deals.
They should be 4-year fully guaranteed contracts, because that's essentially what it is. When you sign your NLI, you cannot do anything else. You're going to that school, and it's very, very hard to get out of them. And I've talked to a couple people that have. And just going off that, it's because if you recruit a player, you obviously want them there. Things do change. I understand that. Maybe some off-the-court issues happen, or.
But that's another factor, if something bad happens outside of the sport, then you can address it.
Then that should be in the writing to be voided.
Right. And but if
there's
it's
there's a lot of stuff that needs to be thought about, and I think me personally, and with the help of even you and basically any student athletes anywhere, voicing their opinions for what they desire and need the most, I think that would probably provide the biggest push, But to continue on going on with our school, Zach, it looks like we added a couple new sports to the program.
Yeah, so the Golden Eagles athletic department just announced that they've added men's and women's cross country to our portfolio of sports. Not very vast portfolio of sports, but added nonetheless. And so they'll compete at the Division II NSIC level. And we've also added trap shooting as a club sport to offer, because in our area, trap shooting is a very there's a big draw for it.
It is, and as our school is mainly agricultural based, a lot of the students that go here definitely have trap shooting experience, and I think that is definitely going to be a big hit at this school.
And I think that it's great that they added these two sports. I had heard somewhere that they were going to bring club hockey back too. Club hockey was something that they had here my freshman year, and I remember how much fun it was to go to those games. And even though they weren't like competing at the Division II level, I remember going to one game where they played South Dakota State and they beat them in overtime, and everybody was just going nuts as if like.
Well, there is in the sports center. There's a nice big gigantic trophy case about all of our hockey D3 hockey accomplishments,
absolutely.
and Crookston actually had a good hockey team.
Yeah, and I think that having a club hockey team, it might cost a little bit of money because of equipment and stuff like that.
And then we'd also have to rent the
arena and stuff like that.
Out of campus
but I think that if you're looking at prospective students, and especially within this area, hockey's a big deal. And if you tell them, oh, we have a club hockey team here, and then they're like, oh, I love hockey and I want to pursue an ag major,
well, there
now
you go.
I can do that.
It's really weird hearing of a Minnesota school that doesn't offer hockey.
Yeah, especially with the success of our sister schools in Duluth and the Twin Cities.
Twin Cities, yeah. And our state schools in Mankato, Bemidji, even St. Cloud.
Right, I just think it's a little difficult because all of our there's no Division II hockey, obviously.
No, it's either club D3 or D1.
Right, so we don't. The only choice we have is really club.
Yep.
So I guess we could do D1 like Duluth, but I just don't think we have the
get absolutely murdered.
We don't have the
funding, the scholarship, not even the facilities. Even.
No, not even close. So that could never happen.
But it's always something to think about. I think the school should ponder bringing club hockey back within the next 5 years.
But since our school is having such issue retaining people and graduating our freshmen, I think that adding a couple more sports is definitely a good idea.
It'll help. I wonder if track is going to be next after they decide cross country.
Right, and the thing is with cross country, there's zero expense to cross country. Really, it's just running.
Yeah,
and
on a golf course.
And uniforms.
Yep.
So it's like
it's coaching,
don't
uniforms,
cost much.
Travel, and just where you're going to.
But that's relatively inexpensive when you're comparing it to a sport like football or even baseball.
Baseball. And that's always something to think about too.
But in other Golden Eagles news, the men's golf team has the NSIC men's golf tournament starting tomorrow and the day after in Liberty, Missouri. The softball team will be playing on Friday at Mankato at 1 p.m. The baseball team will be playing against St. Cloud here on Friday at 1 p.m. Those games will both be doubleheaders, and they'll play again at 3. So the baseball team will be home on Friday at 1 and 3, and the softball team will be away on Friday at 1 and 3. So those are just some of the calendar events coming up for Golden Eagle Sports.
And to wrap up the episode, it's a little shorter episode today because we kind of went.
We still are at 28 right now. We're gonna hit 30.
28 minutes, 30 minutes, which it's not a short episode, but our last episode we had a long one.
Yeah, it was like 40 or something like that.
So, but to wrap it up with our wacky sports, and I found a couple interesting articles, and I think you might enjoy them. The first one is regards to J.J. Watt. He seems to be in the news quite a bit, and it really kind of. This one I actually don't agree with how Wisconsin's doing it because he's going to give a commencement speech at graduation, and the Wisconsin faculty asked him to submit what he wants to speak so they can put it on a teleprompter for him. And J.J. Watt's response was, I was just going to wing it. He had no plans on doing anything. He's just going to stand up there and just speak for X amount of time because I guess he's a very extemporaneous speaker like we are here on our podcast, but...
Yeah, I mean, in this article on ESPN, he's quoted saying that I grew up 45 minutes from Camp Randall, so being invited to go back and have the opportunity to go back to my school and a team I watched growing up, idolized, walked on, and eventually got a scholarship from. Now he gets to speak at their commencement. It's an unbelievable honor. So I don't think people should make it seem like he's not taking it seriously by not writing out a speech. Like when you have that type of connection to a place, and
you don't need a
you don't need a speech
to
talk about it because he's going to go up there and inspire no matter what. He's J.J. Watt, and he's got a good personality to just go up there and say what he wants to say, and he's going to send a positive message because he's such a positive figure in society as a whole right now.
Yeah, and
so it is kind of wacky that
he had his entire plan was just to
go up there and wing it.
This, but it's pretty funny, and that's just definitely what J.J. Watt's character is like. He's a very easygoing person, down to earth, and he's a great public speaker. And what he's done for the community in Houston is very, very great. But we're gonna move on to what Rays' recent Cy Young winning pitcher Blake Snell has done. You might like this one at home. And what he did was he got put on the 10-day injury list because of a broken toe. Now, how he broke this toe, he suffered because he fractured the fourth toe on his right foot when he got out of the shower and then attempted to move a large granite bathroom stand. He's quoted saying, "It was really dumb. It's like a 3-piece set and this pole that just comes up like 2.5, 3 feet. Went to move it, I lifted it up and it wasn't glued to the pole and the pole came crashing down."
80 pounds right on his toe.
All I can say is, ouch.
Yeah, you messed up, Blake, but you see, Blake, you have enough money to get anybody you want to do that for you. You don't need to do that stuff. You focus on baseball.
That's probably what the Rays told him. Just like, how about you get all those heavy objects out of your bathroom, first of all, so that way you don't break your toes anymore. But that's understandable because maybe you take the corner wrong and you just stub your pinky toe, because everyone's done that. And it's excruciating and agonizing pain, but
I mean, at least, your toe is not the most important body part as a pitcher.
No, but
I mean, it's hard to pitch with a broken toe. Don't get me wrong.
It's insanely hard.
It'd be much worse if it fell on his hand per se.
Well, yeah, it'd be obviously much worse, but on his plant foot, it's any part of your foot that hurts, you can't pitch. Any part of your hamstrings.
So do you think this will hold him out longer than 10 days? No,
because it'll heal by then. It's just, does the discomfort go away? He's only going to miss one start. That's what the report said. And, this is one of those things where it happens. That's life. It doesn't always go your way. And hopefully he figures out how to take a shower next time, really. But that's going to do it for today. Thanks for listening to Calling an Audible. And I just want to let you guys know that next week we will not have an episode, because I will be out of town when the time framing works, because our producer's got some business outside of the school, so he won't be in Monday through Friday. And then Thursday I'll be flying out to Boston for the Harvard case study.
I'll just be here alone.
So, I mean, maybe Zach will bring in our good friend Matt Nelson and maybe Will Cole even. We could have
an episode minus Greg.
Yeah, I might feel a little left out.
But I feel like people just might not listen at that point.
Then that could be.
Maybe. No, Greg, no show.
No, it's no Zach, no show.
We'll find out in a couple weeks.
I guess if I come back and said, "Oh, hey, by the way, we recorded an episode while you're gone," I'll be like, "Oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll have to listen to it then." But for Zach Greenberg, I'm Greg Johnson, and as always, listen to us on Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube. We always appreciate all our folks listening in, and feel free to hit us up on the Twitterverse at CallAudiblePod. We aren't afraid to take your opinions into consideration and jab back and forth with you. And it's always fun interacting with our fans. So have a great Easter, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Calling an Audible is made possible through the assistance of the University of Minnesota Crookston Media Services Department and executive producer James Pagachnik. The views expressed on Calling an Audible are not necessarily the views of the University of Minnesota Crookston or its affiliates.